Okay, hello everyone. Let me do a sound check. Just a moment, please. All right, that looks like it's working. So hello to you and welcome to Tuesday night. Okay, Tuesday, August 5th it is, and welcome to everyone. I'm going to go back and say hello to everyone as I usually do, and then we'll get started. But I'd like to welcome you to tonight's show, which is called DELPHI, Photoshopping Their Killer, The Girl's Not on the High Bridge. Okay, so welcome on in, and we have a lot to discuss tonight and get into, and thanks for being here. Okay, so first of all, let me say hello to Adrian, who's in here super early. Welcome, Adrian. Also, Granny D, Oleg Cat, Miss Pie Crust, Topher, Brenda Mays, and Carol, Scott LaFleur, Rebecca Ann, also Pertinent. Welcome to you. Thanks for saying hello to everybody. Jojo is here. Welcome, Jojo, for baby daddy. Hello to you. Aaron M. Town, welcome to you. Deb, welcome, and thanks for saying hello to everybody. Good to see you. Misunderstood. Good to see you. Okay. Lowered Customs. Hello to you. Music. Samantha Springman. Heather Brown Hebby. Welcome. Sweet Dude Shibby. Hello. Let's see. What else we got in here? Quad. Any other names? Heather Brown's reminding you all to please like, share, and subscribe while you're here. You know, do the YouTube thing. People do it, so please do it. Thanks for being here. If you're on the replay, please leave your name down below and a comment. Say hello to everyone. All my favorites read our comment section, so please do. All right, now Lisa's here. Welcome, Lisa. All right. Amy G. Hey, Amy. Welcome in. All right. Pie Crust, Carol, Adrian, Shibby, Deb, Lisa, Carol. All right. All right. Welcome to everybody. Court of Public Opinion. Hello. Welcome, sir. Howdy, howdy. Good to see you. All right. Elizabeth Jones, welcome. All right. Just saying hello to everybody. Make sure I don't miss anyone. Keith Kellogg, welcome to you. Okay. Scott Perkins, what up? What up? Eliana Davidson, hello to you. Come on in. All right. What's up, Scott? Eliana, Amy. All right. All right. What's up, everybody? What's up, Jenny? Hello, Jenny. All right. Eliana Davidson, Heather Brown, Amy, Elizabeth. All right. Good to see everybody. Ninja Warrior Assassin says, I'm back. Hello to you. Okay. Just in time. Thank you. All right. I think that's about everybody. Oh, no, there's Gretchen. Hello, Gretchen. All right. So it's good to see everybody. Let's see. Oh, Digital's here. What's up, Digital? Okay, Digital. Z is here. Okay. Who's their daddy 11? Welcome to you. Thanks for gracing us with your presence. Okay. Now, oh, Frenchie 6290 here. Welcome. Welcome. Okay. I think that's about our way to say Big JD. Welcome, Big JD. All right. Tammy Martin. Hello. Okay, Tammy's here. Good. Jamie Blair, welcome. Okay. All right, everybody. Let's see. Dino is here. Where's Dino? I don't see Dino. I don't see Dino, Sweet Dude Chibi. But it's good to see everybody, okay? Maybe Dino will chime in. All right. Nancy Drew 101, welcome. Okay, there you are. Good to see you. Goose is Gammy, good to see you. Thanks for greeting the mods. All right. Everybody's looking good. Nancy Drew, Heather Brown, Pertinent, Digital, Samantha, Goose's Gamby, Lisa. All right. So good to see everybody. If I missed you, just go ahead, drop your name down in the chat. Okay. What's up, Corbo? Okay. I don't want to miss anyone else. Jake Brooks here. What's up, Jake Brooks? All right. Ooh. Well, now let's see. There's one more thing I need to get prepared here. I'll do it while we're rolling. No big deal. Okay, but good to see everybody. So I assume that everybody understands from the thumbnail that we will be discussing the recent, hmm, what should I call it? Fairy tale cast as a documentary. In other words, a mockumentary, a promulgating of the fairy tale narrative that is your mainstream Delphi murders narrative, going back all the way to the very beginning, courtesy of Gray Hughes, Sleuth Intuition, and all the other troll farmers, controlled opposition PR team for Indiana law enforcement who has devised this narrative, which was used to prosecute Richard Allen without any evidence whatsoever. Um, yes, Mocu series. Thank you. Perfect. Perfect. Actually, Mocu series. uh, Indeed, what it is. Okay. Um, and I end up here with I'm a little tardy with what I want to present here, so I'll be getting there. Let me see. There's two things I want to get ready to upload. Let's see. So this one needs to be. There you go. All right. And then let's see. Tell you what, this is it's just a never-ending task. All right. Hey, that's Miss K. Welcome, Miss K. Thanks for saying hello to everybody. All right. Yes, it's the Maku series is what we're talking about. The Maku series. And you think being late, I would have this ready, but I just forgot about these two slides um, until just this moment. So I don't want to miss out though, because it's important for the things I want to say tonight. So let's see. There we go. All right. So tonight's show will be for the newer viewer and the old head alike. Okay. I'm going to be looking to. Okay, there's one more. Let's see. All right, we'll get to the other one later. Let's see. All right, there we go. Now I got all my things together now. All right, welcome, Ode Mort. Hello. Um, yeah, Tammy. Tammy, let me start off by saying that. Okay, I guess I can do the Debbie Downer stuff first. Tammy says, I really wish I could file for a divorce from this case, but my heart won't let me, damn it. Well, let me say this. I really do hate Delphi. I really absolutely do hate this case. And after this Maku series, since this Maku series, um, I am absolutely just disappointed in a way, or that's not even the word. Uh, Really, it's hard to keep going. It's hard to keep going in this. Um, but I got to say this. The only thing that keeps me going at this point has been what the exact problem is. Okay. Let's talk about what the problem is here, which is that you have an entire contingent of people from day one up until this day active on social media as a gargantuan PR contingent aimed at protecting the police or law enforcement of Delphi. The reason being, this is a bury job. They are burying the truth about Delphi. Okay. I'm highly confident that what this crime actually involves is a large criminal element tied to the cartels, the human and drug traffickers of the Midwest, United States. Okay. I think that this crime is absolutely tied to Keegan Klein and the Dropbox and the Vinlanders and other motorcycle clubs trafficking in methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, and little girls. Okay. And I think that overall, there are tentacles into the world of child pornography and child trafficking, pedophilia, and that oddly enough, it appears that some of the narrative controllers online are also tied to that very same world. We've oftentimes said that the uh, the dark web chomos run the Delphi case, and that's said somewhat tongue in cheek, but it's pretty obvious, and honestly, the Vinlanders as well. Okay, so I think what we're dealing with are the dark web chomos and the Vinlanders, and it's one and the same. You got one is the muscle. Let's be honest. When bikers traffic in large amount of drugs as a team, you know what they're doing, right? They're running security for the bigger organizations that are trafficking the drugs. So in case you don't know, you've got to go listen to a ton of FBI experts or former FBI who've come out and are now civilians. So when you listen to these former FBI, they all say the same things, that the uh, the motorcycle clubs run security for moving the large amounts of drugs from point A to point B. Okay. So if you have a situation in which you have this huge element of criminals who are tied to what eventually ends up in the murder of these two little girls. They're all involved in covering for it. The law enforcement is all involved in covering for it, and everybody running PR on the internet, especially on YouTube, but also on Reddit, Facebook, and Twitter. All of these people are protecting law enforcement, and it would be my assumption that that law enforcement is protecting the killers. Now, that's pretty awesome, or pretty startling of a revelation to have, and it's something to have to admit if you're going to try to admit that this case involves law enforcement covering up the murders of two of its own little girls. You know, but it is what it is. Okay. Now, uh, let's be honest. The law enforcement and the criminal element have often worked hand in hand. I mean, hey, we got people in this chat right now. They know what I'm talking about. Okay. They know what I'm talking about. In other words, where would law enforcement be without CIs or criminal informants? Okay. Um, I mean, I'm absolutely confident that that's what the Delphi is all about, which is why, okay, you have things like you've seen in the past 24 hours, which is this mockumentary or mockuseries, uh, portraying itself in the guise of a documentary, which is supposed to be a reflection of reality. And it's really something to think about that you would have people working together to fabricate a documentary which promulgates the state's narrative of this crime, which we know is not an accurate narrative. Okay. And for 2 years now, I've been telling you that the troll farm and the mean girls work for the cops. I haven't really received much validation from the general public in revealing that to you. I haven't really received many pats on the back from people saying, you know what, uh, Prof, you're right. The troll farm works for the cops. And you know, I haven't heard, oh, Prof, you're right. The mean girls work for the cops. But I will. At some point in time, all of this shit will hit the fan, and you'll realize I was right. They work for the cops, which is why they get to threaten to kill us on a regular basis, and nothing ever does happen. You see, they can sit here and threaten to kill us years on end. Nothing ever happens. Nothing's ever done about it. They can threaten to kill Richard Allen, other YouTubers. Nothing's ever done about it. They're given a free pass, or I should say, they are given free reign of terror over the YouTube streets. They've ruined all of our lives. And it just seems like no one really gets it. Why in the fuck do you think we don't want to sit here and do this anymore? They ruin lives. Think about the lives that have been lost over this case. Think about those who are not even here anymore, who are not dead, but they're still, they've been run into hiding. and you report it, you report it, you report it, and nothing happens. Law enforcement just pretends nothing happens. But let me threaten to kill someone one time on this case, I'm confident these law enforcement would be at my door. Okay. And what else? What else? They can relentlessly strike us. Okay. They can relentlessly strike us. You may have noticed that I took down over 400 videos because they were relentlessly striking my channel. And if I report them stealing my content, violating my privacy, my family's privacy, putting up my house on the internet, or anything else among the things that they do, nothing happens. Nothing happens. Okay. So I might as well just not even bother in reporting their channels when they violate my copyright or my privacy, because nothing's going to happen. Okay. But I get struck 35, 45, 55 times in 2 weeks. And I got to take down 90% of my content to protect my channel, to keep it here for you all. It's unreal. But let me present to you the top 2 statements, okay, from this Macu-series. Hey, welcome in, Linda K. Johnson. Okay, I see you coming in, and anyone else coming in. Chat, please welcome them, okay? Please welcome anyone coming in. Anyhow, I guess let's start this way. I'll give you the overarching, I'm going to make this really, really, really easy for you, okay? I'm going to make this really, really easy for you. Here is my review of Capturing Their Killer, The Girls on the High Bridge. Okay, my overall review is there's only one person worth watching in the entire 3 video series. Any takers? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess? Okay, there's only one reason to even consume any of it. Actually, I recommend that you don't watch a lick of it. Okay, don't give Hulu your clicks. Yep, there you go. Thank you, Eliana. Kathy Allen. Okay, the only thing worth watching in this program is in episode number 2, the first 20, 30 minutes is Kathy Allen. It's a sit-down interview with Kathy Allen. And so for those of you who don't know Kathy, you now get to have a little glimpse into Kathy's life and mind and soul and spirit and attitude and mind. And if I wanted to steal their content like these other grifters have done on this case and play their content here, I would have tonight. I don't want to steal Hulu's content and promote it for free over here for you. But let me say this. Remember that the mean girl said that Kathy is not capable of making decisions for Rick Allen. Remember, the mean girl said they don't believe that Kathy should be in a position to make legal decisions for her husband. Remember, they said that Kathy is not in the right state of mind to be able to decide what's best for Rick Allen, which is why they wanted to control Kathy, which is why they attempted to coerce Kathy, to smear bully Kathy, and to harass Kathy into signing a contract for their benefit so that they could obtain all discovery, all investigators' notes and research and materials, work product, and open 501c3s in the name of Richard Allen so that they could fundraise and grant write in the name of Richard Allen so that they could bury the discovery on Richard Allen and control the narrative on Richard Allen and make sure this prosecution or this conviction sticks for Richard Allen, and we would never see another thing again. And in the meantime, they'd be guaranteed a steady income for the next 5 years through these 501c3s. But this was supposed to be to take guardianship over Richard Allen. One thing you might not realize, they also tried to force Richard Allen to be declared mentally incompetent and Kathy be declared unfit to make decisions for him so that they could take control of all of this. But let me ask you this. If you have watched the little portion of this mockuseries in which wherein they interview Kathy, I think you could probably see for yourself right quick that Kathy Allen is very capable of making decisions for herself and in her husband's best interest. And not only that, she has a stable of attorneys to consult with in each and every one of those decisions. Let me just say that, because I think some people want to act like all you viewers are retarded. Okay, they'll actually try to gaslight you into believing that she's sitting there home alone, totally incapable of existing and of making decisions, but also they'd like you to believe that she has zero ability to consult with any legal professionals, when the fact is that she has a handful of lawyers. Just pick up a phone, okay, the click of a phone away. But that's your troll farm, and that's your mean girls. That's your humongous PR operation that's working on behalf of the police or the law enforcement, the state police of Indiana. Anyhow, so as I say, the overall review of the program is it's absolute garbage. Okay, it's furthering the fairy tale narrative of the Delphi murders centered around the storyline developed by Gray Hughes, Sleuth Intuition, and Nick McClellan. Okay. Now, furthermore, there's another special part. You see, the way they did this. Hey, thank you, Rebecca and Oleg Cat, for the super chats. I truly appreciate it. Thank you for that. Everyone, please support the channel as always. Okay. Thank you. I truly appreciate it. Okay. But let me say this. There's another thing. Okay. It's very obvious to me that this is a state propaganda piece. Okay. It's basically a piece of state propaganda. It's made to further the agenda of law enforcement and the Patty family and the killers. So as part of this way this was put together, though, they actually went and they took Two individuals. Okay. They took a troll farmer. They got the main Patty spokesperson. That's right. The official, unofficial spokesperson for Becky Patty. Okay. Chomo, the Chomo. They got the Chomo and they got the Homo. Okay. And they got the Chomo. And when I say homo, I don't mean Homo. I mean Hoemo, the Homo and the Chomo. And they got the Homo and the Chomo. And what this is the troll farm and the mean girl, the uniparty. Okay. So they got two individuals from the YouTube community, a Chomo and a Homo. And they allowed them to be the representatives of the voice of the people. And I think the most amazing part of all this is that the Chomo and the Homo made two incredible statements back to back. This right here is statement number one. It was our job to help law enforcement. Okay. Did anyone notice this statement in the Maku series? I mean, come on, y'all. Surely no one missed this one here. It was our job to help law enforcement, says Troll Farm. All right. And that is immediately followed with the following statement. That was what the police told us they wanted to do. I mean, I'm not making this up. Okay. It was our job to help law enforcement. That was what the police told us they wanted to do. Now, you see, for years, I've been sitting here, the recipient of death threats, of harassment by telephone, by email, by United States Postal Service, and by internet. And now it all makes sense. It all makes sense. Because as I've been assuming for years, they're working for law enforcement. Okay? They're working for law enforcement. In other words, it's a green light to stalk, harass, gang stalk, cyberbully, terrorize, threaten, and basically defame by any means necessary to get us off the platform and to shut us up. But it's our job to help law enforcement. That's what the police told us they wanted to do. And if you're new to Delphi, boy, boy, do you have a bitter pill to swallow, an extremely bitter pill. A hot coal is what you'll be forced to swallow, because you're going to have to understand that this case is infested with compromised parties, narrative controllers, law enforcement shills, okay? And typically, that wouldn't really be a bad thing. You know, you think about it, most cases, it's not that bad to help law enforcement. You know, let's say if you got a case where it's just, it's on the surface, it is what it is, you know? Yeah, you got a missing little girl in the neighborhood. You want to help the law enforcement? Sure, yeah, that would be something you'd want to do. Sure would be. But not in this case. Not in this case, because in this case, you've got an entire contingent assisting law enforcement in burying the truth about this case. I mean, look at what happened with Keegan Klein's whole deal, right? What'd they do? They did the absolute inconceivable, which is that they gave him the max possible time for his alleged crimes of spreading CSAM. And they played stupid on the whole thing about Delphi, especially the fact that he's the reason the girls came out to the trails, or allegedly came out to the trails in Delphi. He lured them out there. He was communicating with them. He was operating a drop box that opened up the biggest CSAM investigation in Indiana history. And that just disappears. It just vaporizes, goes away. It just goes away into the ethers. And what do they do? Well, they pay him with maxing out his time. Okay. But we're not supposed to think that we're not supposed to say anything about the potential connection between Keegan Klein, the Dropbox, and Delphi, because of course, even though that's extremely reasonable to put together, it's not supposed to be a thing. Welcome in, no not. Came in to say, Prof, you're so accurate in your layout of this. You're being gaslit beyond anything anyone has seen. Complete inversion of the truth on this. Thank you. That's how it feels. Anyhow, I just found it odd. Okay. I find it odd how you've got the troll farm. Okay. I described to you what the troll farm is. Okay. The troll farm is a contingent of locals. Okay. So when you think of troll farm, primarily you need to be conceiving of a whole bunch of central Indiana locals who are poverty stricken, have criminal histories a mile long, really deep in methamphetamine, and also possibly sex crimes. Really tight knit with the biker clubs. A couple Freemasons in the mix. Right? Meth head, trashy, poverty stricken, uneducated troll farm. Indiana centric. Well, then you've got the controlled opposition. The controlled opposition are highly educated, really highly educated group of individuals, most of them not from the cesspool of Carroll County. Most of them on the periphery and or outside of the state. You got some in Michigan, you got some in Florida, you got some in Texas, you got some in Arizona, you got some in New York, North Carolina. They're spread out all over. But it's crazy because those types are all educated. They're all salaried or something like that. They're more like a professional PR team. So these mean girls are much more like a professional PR operation. And it is my belief that they are employed by some sort of PR firm that does this, possibly in New York, that's controlling all of the PR. So they're all spread out, probably working online for this PR firm in New York, is my assumption. Okay, so you sort of have these two layers. You have the criminal element, meth heady troll farmers who are more likely to be CIs and something like that, related to the victims, to the perps, to the motorcycle gangs, to the traffickers, to the meth dealers, and all of that. And like I say, then you have the more professional PR element, which are the ones who are spread out everywhere and who seem to be much more educated, much more effective in what they do. But there's some kind of plausible deniability in all of this, because the ones who come at you first are the more incendiary, loud, ignorant, inflammatory types. Okay, so you got the inflammatory types that scream, yell, call you a predator and all that stuff. And then, like I say, your next level, which is your educated PR team. And you say, Prof, that's way too many people to be involved in this thing. This is just the murder of two little girls in India. Yeah, I know what it seems like. I know. It's unbelievable to even fathom that this would be possible. All right. But let's talk about the universals, because when we say things like uniparty to describe this whole operation, I know it might not make sense. So let's talk about what uniparty is. So let me see if I can grab this. Let's see. Uh, okay, let me give this a try here. Let's say, hmm, try to see how quickly I can get this onto the screen. CCC. It's never easy doing this, so just apologize in advance. Come on, Prof. Let me see. All right, here we go. Thank you much, Queen of Swords. Thank you. All right. All right, so check this out. So basically, so one of the things is this. You are supposed to believe that this is legit. Okay? So the interesting thing here is they've thrust this upon the community. Okay. They've thrust this upon the community, and we are supposed to believe that this is an actual legit piece of footage when nothing appears legit about it. Okay. Furthermore, I've already confirmed this was created on March 9th, 2025. But we are supposed to believe that this is the real deal. Okay. Now, I've already brought your attention. Oh, I can't speak. Sorry about that. I've drawn your attention before to the fact that these are sweatpants she's wearing. That's one of my breakthroughs. One of my breakthroughs was that in the uh, I realized in the shadow here, you can see that she's wearing baggy sweatpants. Whoever this person is, because we don't know who this is. Okay, you can see their baggy sweatpants. So one of the layers of disbelief that you have to suspend, okay, one of the layers of disbelief that you have to suspend is that you see the baggy sweats. Let me back that up a sec. You see the baggy sweats? Look, did I not go back far enough? Yeah, okay. There we go. Baggy sweats. Baggy sweats. Baggy sweats. Okay, baggy sweats. Flopping in the breeze. You see? And you're supposed to believe that all of these colors make sense. Have you ever seen, have you ever seen anything close to this? Here's another frame that I like to show. I like to use the word cinematic. Okay, cinematic. This piece of footage has cinematic qualities. The colors. I mean, look at the colors. The colors. How many of you? How many of you remember this movie called? Was it called "What Dreams May Come" or something like that? You guys remember that movie? Let me type it in. It's like a 90s movie with Robin Williams. What dreams may come? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What dreams may come. So you know the movie. This piece of footage has the color profile, the cinematic quality of what dreams may come. Look at the colors. Look at the blues and the browns and the pinks. Anyway, what dreams may come. It's got this cinematic over what's the word? Saturated. It has an oversaturated feeling to it in the colors. All right. It's also got sound that is a little unusual. You know, if you listen to the soundtrack, I did a thorough exploration of the soundtrack of this, which you can find on my playlist where I go through the sound. Uh, the profile of the sound is not quite normal. Okay. It actually seems like a product of Disney or NASA. Remember the whole rumor, the whole blah 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 about, oh, it was sent to NASA and Disney. It was sent to NASA and Disney. NASA and Disney helped. Well, damn, honestly, um, it has that vibe, right? But there's more. Let's see. There's more. There's also stuff like this. Let's see. See if I can grab this. Look at this. I mean, you could almost say the same for this. I mean, what is this? What is this? When we have had almost, you see, technically it's four, but I like to say five because it's a round number. Um, we've had four Photoshop experts. And when I say experts, I don't mean they just figured out this year how to put it in a piece of software that will tell them. I mean, literal lifelong Photoshop experts look at this. Four of them have told us it's not a point and shoot. It's a photoshopped image. It has telltale signs of photoshopping. Okay? But even our Maku series put this across as a legitimate photograph, okay? It's just mind-boggling that this was admitted at court. Okay, think about this as well. This was used to convict Richard Allen. I mean, do we not think this is serious? Like, since when are you supposed to be able to use fabricated evidence to secure a criminal conviction? This was not on the victim's phone, by the way. Not at all. But like I said, okay, look at this, right? Look at that. And then look at this. Let's see. And then look at this. Okay. But these things are supposed to make all of this real, right? And then we've got this. You know, Disney, NASA. Let's see. You've got a family that has roused suspicions for more than 7 years. See, keep this in mind. Is it just the prof who sat here saying, I'm not sure all those family members are telling the truth about these circumstances, about this case? Is it just me saying that? Or am I only about the 150th creator to come out and say, hey, yeah, I have questions about the family's honesty here? I mean, remember that the family gave the troll farm a dinner. Remember, the family hosted the troll farm a dinner during trial, thanking them for all their hard work. Hmm. Let's see if I can find this other piece I'm looking for. Let's see. Let's see. Got to find it. Anyway, with all of those questions, here's the part it's going to make you want to pull your hair out, right? I'll read this for you. This says, first joint stipulation regarding evidentiary matters. Comes now the state of Indiana by Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Stacy L. Diener, the defendant Richard M. Allen by counsel Bradley A. Rozzi, and the parties having reached an agreement regarding the admissibility of certain items of potential evidence and matters related to the separation of witness order pertaining to the jury trial in this cause. The court now finds and orders as follows. Okay, this is where you get your notepads out. The parties agree that the items referenced below shall be self-authenticated without the necessity of a witness verifying its origin, authenticity, or chain of custody. So this will be self-authenticated without the necessity of a witness verifying origin, authenticity, or chain of custody. Now, it claims that the intention of this stipulation is to promote judicial economy throughout the course of the jury trial in this case. However, the parties do not agree to the specific admissibility or use of any item offered as evidence, as each party reserves the right to argue such pursuant to the applicable rules of evidence. Now listen, in other words, this is what's not going to be questioned by the defense. Let's put this in very simple baby words. This is what the defense ain't gonna question. All in-cell video recordings of Richard Allen while at Westville or Wabash. All video recordings of Richard Allen creating through the use of a handheld camcorder utilized by IDOC staff when Richard Allen was transported outside of his cell, unless said recordings include confidential communications between Richard Allen and his treating psychologist or psychiatrist. All door sheet notes from inmate companions or correctional officers, so long as said companion or officer is called as a witness and testifies at the trial in this cause. All medical and or mental health records provided to the parties by Indiana DOC or its agents by way of discovery request in this case, so long as the author of the mental health record and its contents is called as a witness at the trial in this cause. Okay, sounds reasonable enough, right? Let's take a pause here. So far, the first five sound reasonable. Do they not? This is how you usually do things. You know, even Charles from Troll Farm told me this is how they do when they lie as Troll Farm. They put something legit in the beginning, they put something legit at the end, and all the shit in the middle they make up. Well, kind of interesting here because the first five, not really a big problem. But here's where it gets problematic. Let's look at these. Number 6, items collected at the crime scene where the victims were located. What? Items collected at the crime scene? Wait. Let's back it up. So the defense ain't gonna question items collected at the crime scene? Well, shit, that involves the phone. That involves the clothing. That involves whatever's on the phone. That involves the sticks, the DNA. Let's continue. All items collected pursuant to the search warrant of 1967 Whiteman Drive in October of 2022. Wait up. Back to this. Defense ain't gonna question anything collected at 1967 Whiteman Drive in October of 2022. It gets worse. Because I think y'all not ready for the level of nefarious shit that we are looking at. Number 8, all AT&T records containing pings or other communications to and from any cellular towers in the area near the High Bridge on February 13 or February 14, 2017. All AT&T cell phone records for Liberty German cell phone from February 13 and February 14. Get ready for this. The chain of custody for Liberty German's cellular phone. Wait. Bringing it back to paragraph 1. So the defense ain't gonna question anything from AT&T regarding the towers or Liberty cell phone. It gets better. The defense ain't gonna question number 10, the chain of custody for Liberty German's phone. It's just unbelievable. And listen, this is for judicial economy. Is that also why the defense rested early for judicial economy? Because those days that you wasted by resting early could have been spent challenging this evidence. It gets better. Number 11. The chain of custody for the firearms tested by Melissa Oberg. And any electronic extractions of Liberty's phone from Brian Bunner or Christopher Cecil. So we're not challenging any of the extractions of Liberty's phone. We're not challenging the chain of custody for Liberty's phone. We're not challenging anything at the crime scene. We're not even challenging the reports based on the extractions from Liberty's phone. It gets better. Number 14, the extraction of Derek German's phone. That's right. The extraction of Derek German's phone. Oh, what else? Let's go back to page 1 again. The defense ain't gonna challenge. Number 15, Harvest Store video collected by the FBI. And drum roll, please. Drum roll. Wait, let's see if can I get a drum roll? No, I don't have a drum roll. I got what I got. Bruh. Okay, drum roll, please. The defense ain't going to challenge number 16. Becky Patty, Mike Patty, Anna Williams, Kathy Allen, Janice Allen, and Jamie Jones shall be excluded from the separation of witness order pursuant to Rule 615 of the Indiana Rules of Evidence, such that all of these individuals shall be permitted to attend the jury trial without being excluded as fact rebuttal witnesses in this cause. Bruh. Again, that's the first joint stipulation regarding evidentiary matters. Now listen up. This is from, drum roll please, pew, 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 pew. First day of trial. Look at it. October 18th, 2024. Very first thing they did. So you mean you ain't challenging this? Nope, we ain't challenging it. Oh, you ain't challenging this? Nope, we ain't challenging. And you ain't challenging this? Nope, we ain't challenging it. So, I mean, what are we looking at? This has been my constant call to arms. What are we looking at? You have to stop and ask yourself that. I know it's inconceivable what we're looking at, but you have to ask yourself that, especially the newcomers. It's the hardest thing in the world. There's nothing is going to crack open a newcomer's mind quickly enough. Okay. But any objective person would ask themselves, and so after enough red flags, anomalies pop up, I guess the newcomers will eventually say, what are we looking at? Hey, thank you, Jake Brooks, for the super chat. Thanks for the super chat. Everybody, please support the channel, hit the thumbs up, like, and all that stuff. But I mean, the fact, I mean, just once again, you know what? I feel annoyed, like I have to annoy you right now. Let's go back again and do a little bullet point checklist. Okay, what is the defense not going to question here? Let's see. Once again, anything found at the crime scene, anything found at 1967 Whiteman Drive, anything from AT&T, anything about the victim's phone, including the chain of custody, anything about the firearms tested by Melissa Oberg, anything about the cell extractions of the victim Liberty German or her father Derek German. Also, we won't question the Hoosier Harvest Store video. And then we're going to rest early. Then we're going to rest early with days remaining where we could have fought harder. We'll rest early too. So we'll be making it economically judicial as fuck. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's the first half of the show. Now, I'll just ask you all to meditate upon all that. And we're going to move into the second half because remember, this is called DELPHI, Photoshopping Their Killer. The Girl's Not on the High Bridge, a debunking of the Hulu mockuseries about Delphi, in which they promulgate the state's fairy tale narrative. Okay. Now, here's another thing. It's time for us to turn a corner, okay? And the corner that we're going to turn is, I think what we should do is hypothesize what might fix this Maku series. Because remember that, how would I say it? The point of a documentary is it has to appear to be balanced storytelling, okay? So don't be fooled by that, because yes, they did allow Kathy Allen to sit there and provide some balance to the Patty family, right? Just like they let a mean girl sit there and provide some balance to the Chomo Meister. Well, they also allow the defense attorneys to talk about Odinist, Odinist, to provide some balance to the lone wolf Richard Allen killer. But remember, we're not talking about Odinist, okay? Odinist is a fantasy in this case. Odinist was the stupidest decision Andy Baldwin ever made, okay, to use that term. We're talking about, I think, black magic, okay? Now, let me remind you what we were looking at here at this crime scene. Let's see. Let me get this. Where is it? Okay, folks. So first, take this in, please. Take this in here. All right. Take a look at that. You see? So you got that thing, right? Now I want you to take a look at this. Now that is what, okay, bring it back. Let's take a look at this. Look at Abby on the left here. On the left is Abby. And imagine that it's not all pretty and animated. This is necessary so that we don't get a complaint on YouTube. But look at Abby's animated posturing, and look at this. All right. And there's more. So you've got that, and you've got this. Okay. Now look, this screams of witchcraft. In case you don't already know, this screams of witchcraft or magic with a K. Okay. Furthermore, I mean, I don't. I guess I should also do this because this needs to be done. Unfortunately, I hate to do it. It's more looking at stuff. But let's see. I want you to look at this. Let's see. I had put this together. Oh, I'm not going to be able to find it in time. No. Sorry, I don't have it. Let's see. Let's see. No. I'm not able to find it in time. Apologize. But basically, what we're looking at here, in my opinion, is a tableau consisting of tarot posturing, wherein one is postured as the hangman and one is postured as the magician. Okay, so I truly do believe that you had Libby here was strategically placed into a tarot configuration in her staging as the magician. And you can see she's holding a tree almost like a lantern or a torch. Okay. And then you look at Abby here, she's postured as a hangman. Okay. And like I said, so if you got tarot posturing or tableau of the tarot, and then you've got this indicative of witchcraft. Okay. This is the truth of the Delphi murders. And this is a reason that, remember, they sealed all the crime scene photos. This is why. This is why. To keep you all from seeing the actual posturing of the bodies, the actual way they look, the actual lack of blood and pallor mortis, and then the actual stick configurations on the bodies. Okay, well, that's interesting because I want to do a couple things. First of all, I want to pull this up. All right. This is from the August 1st, 2024 hearing. All right. Remember, we're going to try to get a somewhat of a maybe a glimpse of what is not the fairy tale narrative. Okay. In the little time we have tonight. But let's take a look at this. Okay. Kevin Murphy. Okay. State and spell your name, Kevin Murphy. Okay. What does everyone call you? Murph. Okay. Murph is good. All right, Murph. Why are you here? I have a subpoena. Give us a little bit of a background. I know you did this on Tuesday, but we're back on the record. So just a brief background. What do you do now? I'm a police officer. The name of the town is Beverly Shores, Indiana. How long you been doing that? 2 years. Before that, I did the shop teaching for a while after I retired from state police in Valpo Community Schools, a short stint at Valpo University, and then I did court security like officers do here in Porter County, which is in Valparaiso. Something like that. Okay. And then before that was at state police. State police from June of 95 to July of 2021. All right. And did you leave on good terms? Yes. Meaning retired. In good standing? Yes. In good standing. Okay. I want to direct your attention to your involvement. Were you involved in the Delphi murders investigation? Yes, I was. Can you give the judge an idea of the time frame in which you were involved? The first day would have been right after Martin Luther King Jr. Day, which would have been February 21st of 2017. Okay. And all the way through October 1st of 2019. And I can't remember, I think I asked you Tuesday, but were you on this Delphi death investigation the entire time? And that's what you did the minute you got up? Or was it days that you didn't work on that? There were some days when we had details at the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force. The main office was in Indy, but we worked out of a sub office in Merrillville. Okay, when you first got involved, just give the judge an idea of, were you in a room and there's a bunch of people? Did you meet one-on-one with somebody? How did all that go down? Early on in this investigation, we were all in the old Delphi Town Hall upstairs, sometimes hundreds of officers. We'd get down here 8:30 and usually have a briefing and go over what had transpired the day before, and then the tips and leads we were all going out on, and often divided into two people teams. And how much information were you being given in the mornings at these briefings, and who was giving that information? The information generally came from unified command. Oftentimes it was Lieutenant Holman. It might be Sheriff Liggett. It might be Detective Keith Hammond, just depending on the day. Wait. So you're, wait. Jerry Holman,
Bruh.
Sheriff Liggett,
Bruh.
or Keith Hammond?
Bruh.
And then I'm presuming that that wasn't the only time you received information at these briefings in the morning. Were there other conversations, private or not private in the sense of what's happening, that it's whispered, that it's whispering, but just as a matter of the course of investigation, talking from one person to another? Were those kinds of conversations as well? Yes. Outside of briefings? Give me an example of that. Well, I remember early on, I went out a lot with my classmate who's a lieutenant at Bremen, Lieutenant Chad Larsh. And we seemed to go out on a lot of the tips that involved the most terrain, the most difficult people to find, because we've been SWAT team members and we worked well together and we were always teamed up during those years. So we did a lot of details that were sometimes more difficult to get to. Well, what was your understanding of the time frame of when the girls were killed? What was your understanding, and what was your understanding based on? So approximately after the last evidence of them being on the bridge, which was, I think, 2:13, it might have been 2:15. So from that general window of 2:15 to about 3:30 that afternoon, so about an hour and 15-minute time frame. And when and where did you get that as the chunk of time that it took for those girls to be abducted and murdered? It was generalized from that end of the bridge to where they were found the following day on the 14th, that a fair window of how long it would have taken for everything to transpire would have been an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Whoa, did y'all hear that? Hold on. So the way they came up with this time frame, are you telling me the way they actually came up with this time frame is a hypothesis? Once again, so Andy Baldwin asked him, when and where did you get that as the chunk of time that it took for those girls to be abducted and murdered? And Kevin Murphy says it was generalized from that end of the bridge to where they were found on the following day on the 14th, that a fair window of how long it would have taken for everything to transpire would have been an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. Wow. Wow. So that's where that actually comes from. So not the point, not the point that there's evidence that proved that the girls were somehow abducted and murdered between 2:15 and 3:30. Not any evidence pointing to it, but just a generalization. Look at line number 13 here. It was generalized from that end of the bridge to where they were found the following day on the 14th, that a fair window of how long it would have taken for everything to transpire would have been an hour to an hour and 15 minutes.
Bruh.
And was there ever, to your knowledge, was there ever any consideration that the time of death was some time outside of those two frames, 2:15 and 3:30? I had never actually heard any time of death in the time I was here.
Bruh.
Again, when was the first time that you were on the case? Starting February 21st, which was a week to the day after the girls were found. Okay. What was your understanding, if you have one, based upon your readings or based upon information you were receiving from anyone, as to how many people were involved in the murders? Based on the crime scene, the specifics of it, the intricacies of it, it could have been as few as two or three, or even maybe five or six. And those two numbers always stick out in my mind. Maybe two or three, but possibly five or six.
Bruh.
This is ISP Officer Kevin Murphy. Was it always the same, two or three people, or four? Would you say five? Five to six? Yes, it was. Okay, so was there a time when you got involved in a part of the investigation that took you to Rushville, Indiana? Yes, there was. Tell the judge about how that happened and what happened with that investigation. Prior to Christmas of 2017, the week of Christmas, if I'm right, we received a tip that stated a subject from Rushville, Indiana, had admitted to a family member that he was involved in the crime. Okay, and who was that person that was, I guess, had confessed to the crime or admitted to participating in the crime? Yes, his first name is Elvis, last name is Fields. Okay, and I know you said that came in from a tip. Do you know who the tipster was? The tip was difficult to understand, but I think it ultimately came when my investigative partner, Greg Ferencey of Terre Haute PD, somehow got it to our command center, and it came from a woman by the name of Misty Moore. Okay? And she was associated with family members through Rushville of a sibling of Elvis Fields. All right. So once you heard that there had been some type of statement made by Elvis Fields' involvement in the murder, what then did you do? Detective Roland Purdy and I went down there. I believe the date would have been January 7th. It was a Monday after the holiday of 2018. Okay. And what did you do when you went? You said you went down to Rushville? We met here in Delphi at the command center, the old NIPSCO building, and then we went to Rushville, Indiana, where we had prearranged to talk to the sister of Elvis Fields. Okay. And after you talked to the sister of Elvis Fields, what did you do then? We got a hold of Unified Command. We thought this was a very sustainable tip, something that needed to continue to be investigated, and we continued to investigate it from that point on. What made you think it was worthy of being investigated? The information provided to us by the sister was very specific about the crime scene and what had occurred, and it just seemed like information that no one else would have known. Let's repeat that one for the people in the back. The information provided to us by the sister of Elvis Fields was very specific about the crime scene and what had occurred, and it just seemed like information that no one else would have known.
Bruh.
And then what happened next? A day later, we met up with one of our sergeants in the drug enforcement section. The following day, I believe, was a Wednesday. We met up again with Mary Jacobs and attended to have her, through a recorded call, speak with Elvis, who was living with a sister by the name of Joyce Moffett in a little village called Dunkirk, Indiana. Okay, and what happened then? We did the controlled phone call. She was very anxious about it. We tried to keep her calm down during the call, and Elvis didn't really give any indications of any involvement. And then the call went south when she just blurted out, "Elvis, why did you kill those two girls?" Okay, that caused the call to go south immediately. Yes. Okay, what happened after that? Through the process, I had met with prosecutor Nicholas McClelland about the lead we had. He said something to the effect of, "If it's got legs, run with it. Keep me in touch. Go get them." Okay. And Roland Purdy and I eventually made arrangements to take Mary Jacobs for a polygraph. I don't remember the exact date, but it was within a couple weeks after that at the Indianapolis lab, where we were there for that entire polygraph, the two of us. We watched the polygraph. And what was the purpose of the polygraph? Just a request of our investigations division to see would there be any indications of deception, or was she truthful? Was she believable? And did the results of the polygraph cause you to continue on or stop? And here comes McClellan. Judge, I guess I don't really have a valid objection for this question, but this absolutely is not admissible at the trial level. So I'm not sure that the court should consider for a third party motive. So I'm going to object. Anything about a polygraph is not admissible at trial. There's no exceptions I know of. Every time McClellan freaks out and objects, you need to pay attention. And so I'm going to object with the question to the question, Judge. Okay, sustained. All right. After, I don't know how else to say it because I don't know. It's a polygraph. After the polygraph, what happened? We still continued our investigation. Okay, let's pause. Let's pause. So let me ask you guys out there, because you're very smart. If the point of the polygraph was to either stop the investigation if she was if being deceptive, showing signs of deception, or to continue the investigation if it had legs, and he continued and they continued, what do you think the results of the polygraph were? We still continued our investigation. And in what form? We found after that event the possibility of more people being connected to the crime between the town of Rushville or the town of Rushville and Delphi. Are you still working with Roland Purdy at that time, or are you working with other people? At some point, Roland Purdy was assigned or reassigned to his FBI task force. It's out of Fort Wayne, I believe. But I started working primarily with Greg Ferenczi, who provided the initial tip on Elvis Fields. Okay. And due to the nature of Rushville being where it is, we developed a liaison through their PD, who at the time was the assistant chief, Todd Click. And so there's kind of three guys. Let's go through kind of what each guy is doing. What was Ferenczi's primary role, if he had one? Mainly, he did the social media aspects of the case. The larger part of what was going on in Delphi and the Rushville end of it was handled by Todd Click. But it just came upon me that my entire focus was on Elvis Fields. Okay, so what was the next thing then that happened with Elvis Fields? We talked to him a couple times. I remember Lieutenant Holman and I even did some sort of interview that was recorded, and we documented with Elvis Fields. And I believe he even consented to a swab for DNA. And what happened after that swab was taken with Elvis? Did he stick around and answer questions? When we finished up with him at the PD, he didn't have a ride home. I remember it. I felt bad for the guy, so I got him back to his trailer in Rushville. I don't know that I could get you hit there today, but I remember getting him back to his trailer in Rushville. And what happened, if anything, when you dropped him off? I dropped him off, and he kind of walked towards his trailer, and then he turned around. I'm like, where's this going? And he walks back. I roll down my window, and I go, what is it, Elvis? Or whatever I said. I got a question for you. I said, yeah. He goes, that swab I did, if that happens to show that my spit is on one of the girls, but I can explain that away, am I in trouble? Do I have a problem? And I'm like, my response was with the generality of, if you can explain away why something like that happened, I said, you're good. And then I was just stunned and started making calls. Who did you call? Well, my first call was to Jay Harper. And was he part of Unified Command at that time? Yes. And then what? Who did you call, if anybody, afterwards? I might have called Steve Mullen. I'm not really sure. That's going way back, but I'm positive my first call was to Jay Harper. What did you, as an investigator, consider that question that Elvis asked you to be important in terms of the investigation? I made a mistake that day. You made a mistake. I made a mistake. Well, what was the mistake? I should have thought about what I just heard, even though I followed command, followed the chain, and I should have just said, Elvis, let's go get some food. Let's go get some food. Let's go back to the PD and let's talk. And I should have opened that up further, and I didn't, because it just didn't seem like, without not support, but the resources of another officer, that it's something I should have done. And I thought we could have at least revisit it immediately in the next couple days. Okay, so you have some, this sounds like you have some regrets about how this was handled on your end. I do. I'm human, and we make mistakes every day, and I feel that was a mistake. Okay, well, what after, I mean, what, that does seem like kind of a big deal, what he said or what he asked. What happened then? I documented that entire day, did my typical Word document, put in the supplement, might have emphasized or highlighted what he said in exact words, because I felt that it was so shocking. Okay, Mr. Baldwin, I'm sorry. This is going to be, I have to be one of those things, Judge. I can't locate the report from a couple of days ago. Do you know what I'm referring to, Judge, as, I do not, sorry. Okay, that's fine, that's fine. His report, yes, I do. Okay, do you know what I'm talking about? I think it was Defendants S. Thank you. You were here the other day. I handed that to you, and just remind the court of how that thing got put together, how your report got put together. I'm going to hand you Exhibit ZZ. Just take a look at that and tell me what it is. Have you had a chance to review that? Yes. What is that? It's a printout of a lengthy Word document that I completed on all the aspects or ties between Rushville and Delphi. Like, what type of time frame are we talking about to put something like that together? Is it days, weeks, months, years? This took a couple weeks to put together. It might not seem like that, but just to get it all of it factually organized in the correct order. Well, I'm talking about in terms of how much time does that document span? That's probably not a great question. Like, the first entry is January. When would your last entry be? Well, this started in January 2018, the first time we met Mary Fields, and this included several months of documentation. Can you just tell the court, was there part of what this hearing is about is trying to establish whether links between different people and the murders in this case in Rushville, people from Rushville, can you talk about what links, if any, did you, Ferenczi, Click, and anybody else find that you thought linked Elvis Fields and others, perhaps to the Delphi murders? Elvis Fields and his roommate, Rod Abrams, as well as a subject down in Rushville, Johnny Messer, who's somewhat of a Vinlander wannabe recruiter. And then up this way in Delphi with Patrick Westfall and Brad Holder became like our five that were the pieces that put all the puzzle together. What do you mean by that? Just the link between the two communities and what had transpired throughout our investigation with what we thought might have happened. Okay. Let's start with this. How were they linked? What links did you find between Brad Holder, Patrick Westfall up in Delphi, and Elvis Rod, and did you say Ned Smith down in Rushville? Yeah. Greg Ferenczi and I worked together, and he did Facebook gatherings of investigations. I know he did slides. He put everything together, and we were able to put together that all these people seem to know each other and know each other throughout their circle. Okay. But why would that necessarily mean that they're involved in the murders just because they all know each other? Part of what we considered is that they seemed to know things that no one else would know unless they were involved or were there.
bruh,
Again, part of what we considered is that they seemed to know things that no one else would know unless they were involved or were there. Okay, does that include Brad Holder? Yes. And what do you know? I believe Greg Ferenczi, that was more of his thing, was the Brad Holder end of it. Yes. But did he share with you what his investigation involved? Yes, he did. Okay. What was it about the investigation that caused you to think Brad Holder knew things about the murders that he should not have known? Postings on Facebook that Greg and I talked about, and he showed me that mimicked what was the crime scene. And then he goes into handing him exhibits like a photograph of Brad Holder's hand or something. And he says, I'm going to hand you what's been marked today for today's hearing as Defendant's Exhibit KK. Have you ever seen that? Yes. What's the significance of that? This looks to me to be a symbol, often referred to as a rune. Runes are on the hand of Brad Holder. Okay. And why is that indicative of the potential that he was involved in the crime? This marking on his hand, to a person with common sense, closely resembles one of the way one of the victims was marked at the crime scene. Handing you JJ, can you tell the court what that is? They're sticks on Abigail Williams. It's tough to look at for you. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's tough. Why? It sucks. How long did you work on the case? 2.5 years. I don't want to look at it anymore. I'm sorry. That's an example of one of the things you think links Brad Holder to the crime. Is that correct? Yes. And then you had Elvis down in Rushville saying, what if my spit is found on one of the girls? What links did Brad Holder have to Elvis? He's a follower. He's a wannabe. He would mimic almost every day, Greg Ferenczi told me, the kind of things that Brad Holder would post on his Facebook. Did you ever see the Facebook photos that mimicked each other? Yeah. If I handed you those, would you be able to identify what you saw? Yes, sir. I'm handing you what's been marked as AAA. There's no photos in this other than what I think are Facebook photos. Tell me when you're done reviewing that. I'm good. Are those images are they familiar to you now that you've looked at them? Yes. Tell the judge what they are. These are Facebook postings from Holder and Elvis where Elvis mimics Holder. Okay. Do you think that, well, describe to the judge. I mean, she can see it, but describe the first one you see. Judge, I'm going to object. The exhibit speaks for themselves. They've been admitted. The court can look at them. He's identified. He's seen them. That's fine. I'd like to look at them so I can know which ones he's identifying. But other than that, I'm going to object, going through each photo to have them describe them. The court consider those. Okay, I'll move on. You haven't moved to admit them yet. I do move to admit. Okay, AAA. Can I just look at them just so I know which ones? I don't have an objection. I just want to see the ones. No objection. Okay, AAA is admitted. Thank you, Judge. While I'm thinking about it, I would ask to take judicial notice for the purposes of this hearing of Kevin Murphy's testimony from this past Tuesday, day one of this 3-day hearing. Thank you. Do you think that those images, like for example, the one had brass knuckles and brass knuckles with weapons around, is there any way that that could be a coincidence? No, it's not a coincidence. How in the world would Elvis Fields ever learn the name of Brad Holder? Through being in Rushville, he had an association with Johnny Messer, who had an association with those up here. And I'll just say it. They were proclaimed either Vinlanders or wannabe Vinlanders, which is a crazy fucking faction of Odinism. So, in other words, Vinlanders. And did Elvis know Johnny Messer? Yes. And did Johnny Messer know Brad Holder? Yes. Did you and Greg Ferenczi ever ask for search warrants for Elvis's home? I recall we did. Do you know if any search warrants were ever authorized? I don't remember that, sir. That's fine. Was Brad Holder ever a suspect in this case to your knowledge? In what we were doing? Yes. What do you mean by that? In what we were investigating? Yes. Okay, what about the morning briefings in 2017? Was Brad Holder a suspect then? No. Were you reporting your work to Unified Command on a regular basis? Every day. Okay. You talked about Rod Abrams and Ned Smith. Who were they? So the judge knows. Now, funny, guys. Let's take a little aside here. It's funny, isn't it? So, although to Todd Click, Greg Ferenczi, and Kevin Murphy, Brad Holder was a suspect, and although on a daily basis they were handing their updates to Unified Command, who consisted of Jerry Holman and Tony Liggett.
Bruh.
Don't you find it interesting that Jerry Holman and Tony Liggett
Bruh.
never mentioned in one morning briefing from Unified Command Brad Holder or Johnny Messer or Elvis Fields? I mean, are you starting to smell the roses here? Ned Smith owns a paving company out of Rushville, Indiana, and Rod Abrams and Elvis Fields worked for him seasonally, time to time, when they did paving jobs in Rushville. And this came from investigation and observations by Todd Click. Did Rod and Ned, in the course of the investigation, ever say they were and where Elvis Fields was in February of 2017? What was the date, sir? God damn, Baldwin. You're fucking confusing people, man. I forgot what I even asked you. Fucking Baldwin, dude. When the girls were killed, did Rod Abrams or Ned Smith ever provide an alibi or explanation to where they were? Visiting a sick friend at Ball Memorial Hospital in Muncie called Lamont Stanley. Okay, this is their excuse. This is their alibi. Okay, was there anything funny about their alibi that you remember? They said they couldn't use cell phones there because of the hospital and not having a signal. I remember that specifically. Oh, so plausible deniability for not having cell phones that could be pinged to give you an authentication of that alibi. Yeah. Okay, but did they both say they had cell phones, but they just, if you ping them, they wouldn't be able to? Yes. Kind of relay for me how that conversation happened. It was more with Rod Abrams, I remember, than with Elvis. I remember actually at one point, well-documented interviewing Rod Abrams. I might have been alone without another officer that day, and he told that story. And I remember we checked in on it, and the way I recall is they weren't at that hospital that day. That alibi was not true. Once again, they weren't at that hospital that day. Their alibi was not true. Did they say that Elvis was with them, if you remember? He was. They said he was. They said he was. Well, what about Elvis's alibi? What alibi did he give for February 13, 2017? I'm not remembering. That's fine. Do you remember an email about a ceremony? Do you remember anything about a ceremony in Fort Wayne that Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall were involved with? If you don't, that's fine. I do not, sir. Okay, that's fair. In your opinion as an investigator, were there links between Elvis Fields and Brad Holder? Yes. And were there links between Brad Holder and the murder of Abigail Williams and Liberty German? Were there links? Were there evidence of links between Brad Holder and the murders of Abigail Williams and Liberty German? I'm not understanding the word links. Yeah, it's not a great question. I'm sorry, I don't understand. No, that's fine. Were there any links that in the course of your investigation or Greg Ferency's investigation that he shared with you that linked Brad Holder to the murder scene? I guess we kind of went over it a little bit. Those photos that you saw, the hand runes, why was that important to you as an investigator? The symbolism that somebody posts, particularly on social media, that's identically in my mind as a human being mimics a crime scene is not a coincidence. Sorry, hold on. All right, so we're going to skip to Amber Holder. Please state your name, Amber Holder. How old are you? I'll be 31 in November. I'm bad with dates. What do you do for a living? I'm a manager at Public Storage. How long have you been doing that? Almost 2 years. Was there ever a time you were married to Brad Holder? Yes, sir. Knowing that you're bad with years, can you kind of give us a sense of when that was? Around 2018. Okay. You were actually married, is that right? Yes, sir. Did you have any children together? No. And how was a divorce? Was it acrimonious? Were you angry at everybody? Did you have a grudge against him now, or is it pleasant? It was pleasant. After the divorce, would you go talk to him from time to time? Yes. Okay. Was there ever any occasions after you were separated where, Brad Holder talked about the Delphi case? After we divorced? No. Okay. Well, what about before you were divorced? Yes. Were you separated or still together? We were still together. Okay. Tell me about what did Brad Holder tell you about the Delphi case, if anything? At the beginning of the marriage or in the middle? Let's start at the beginning. When we first got together, he said he didn't know anything about the Delphi case. That he'd never met Abigail Williams. In the middle, he said that, well, when he was drinking, that he had a fight with Patrick next to a river. And there was some blood on a rock, and that him and Patrick were fighting because Patrick wanted to up from animal slaughter to a different type of sacrifice. Okay. What was ever going on near the water, you said? Was that what was going on there that caused the fight in question? Brad said they were next to the water and there was blood on a rock near it. And Patrick wanted to up sacrificing animals to humans. Okay. Did Brad Holder ever cut his own hand as part of a ritual? Yes. Tell the judge about that. He was praying to the gods using incense in a metal bowl with flames, and he sliced his own hand to use his own blood as like a type of sacrifice. And where did the blood go? Into the pan that had the incense with fire. Did he ever cut your hand in some way? Yes. Was there any difference in how that happened or where the blood went? No. Did Brad ever tell you? You said that early in the marriage, he said he never met Abigail Williams. He said he never met Abigail Williams and he didn't know anything about the Delphi case. Okay, did that change later on? Did he say that he knew something about it or he knew who might have killed those girls? He said, I brought it up because his son Logan, his middle son, kept having issues. I sat down and talked to him, and he said that he missed Abigail Williams. And I asked who Abigail Williams was. And it was his girlfriend that apparently got murdered. So then I brought it up to Brad, and he was drinking a lot. And he said that Patrick killed Abigail Williams. Did he say that Patrick did that alone or with other people? He said others, and that I need to keep my mouth shut. And did he say why you needed to keep your mouth shut? If I talked, that they would kill me. Do you know if Brad Holder owned knives? Yes. Do you know how many knives, approximately? No. Was it lots of knives or just a few knives? He had some at the house that we were staying in, and then he had some at his parents' house, but I don't know if he had any anywhere else. And he did make his own knives, and did he make his own knives or did he buy the knives? Do you know? I'm not sure. Can you describe what at least one of the knives looked like? The knife that he used to cut his hand to praise the gods and to cut my hand was a curvy blade with a wooden handle, and it was rusty. What?
Bruh.
And what about runes? Did Brad Holder have runes? Yes. Okay, tell me about that. They're usually made out of animal bones, usually like an antler or something. But we cut it into like small circles, and then you usually grab like a wood burner and you put your runes on it. But yes, he did have some of his own runes. And what is your religion? I follow the old Nordic gods. Okay, and what was Brad Holder's religion? When we first met, he said he followed the old Nordic gods. Found out he's supposed to be a sixth generation Christian preacher, and he decided to pick up my religion, but he was very confusing on that. Okay, did you and Brad ever pray to Odin or other gods? We pray to our gods, well, my gods. Odin is the main god, but there's no such thing as Odinist. Okay, yeah, just thank you for saying that. But you don't think, if I were to use the phrase Odinist, you don't think that's a real thing? No. Why? You can pray to one god out of all the gods, but there isn't actually an Odinist. Okay. Okay, and sorry. No, go ahead. Odin is very protective over children. So there would be no one in my religion to sacrifice children. We protect women, children, and the only time we hurt an animal is to use every part of that animal. And again, what is your religion? I follow the old Nordic gods. Old Nordic gods. Okay. Did Brad Holder ever tell you that Patrick Westfall and his crew killed the girls because one of the mothers was mixing with another race? Yes. And when did that conversation occur? That conversation occurred during the marriage. He said that Abigail Williams' mom was sleeping with a black man.
Bruh.
Did you ever, did Brad ever warn you about Patrick Westfall? I know we talked about that. Yes. Why did he say you should be concerned? After we got divorced and I spoke to the two police officers at my house, they asked if I could go back and get more information. I went back and said that my best friend's sister was talking about dating Patrick, and he told me to stay, told both of us to stay away from Patrick because he's very dangerous. Did he mention anything about a fire in Patrick Westfall? No, sir. Nothing you remember? Not that I remember. Okay. Did you ever see any images on Brad's phone of kind of girls on like a forest floor? Yes, sir. Tell the judge about that. I seen that Brad had multiple Facebooks, and I asked him about it, and he said they kept getting that he kept forgetting the passwords and then he kept making new ones. And I asked him about a picture I saw with two women in the woods. And he says those are his friends posing as dead bodies. Okay, why did he say that there were two women posing as dead bodies in the woods? What was the purpose? He said that they were reenacting like a sacrifice, but his friends were playing and they weren't actually dead. How many of those photos did you see? Two. Again, please read line number 3 up here. Line number 3. Line number 3. So question. If this is the reenactment of a sacrifice, what do you think this is? Okay, once again, he said they were reenacting like a sacrifice. All right. Did Brad Holder ever tell you whether or not he and Patrick Westfall had sacrificed animals? Yes. And what was that answer? He said that they went hunting for deer and stuff. Okay, is that, well, hunting would be different, pardon, than sacrificing. I want to be clear. Well, hunting is kind of like a sacrifice. Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. Sorry. Because you would use the blood in a ritual like praising the gods. Like Odin loved tobacco. You would lay a cigarette in the flames with the incense. You would also drop some type of sacrifice in there, either your blood or an animal's blood. Blood sacrifice. Hunting, 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 sacrifice. All right. Todd Click. What do you do for a living? I'm currently a parole agent with the state of Indiana. And how long have you been doing that? I've been with parole since March of this year. And what did you do before that? I was a police officer with the Rushville Police Department. And how long were you there with the Rushville Police? February 6th of 2001 until December 31st of 2021. That's 20 years. 20 years. 20 years. Was there an occasion where you were part of an investigative team focused on the Delphi murders? Yes, I was. How did you get involved in that? Sometime in June of 2018, Detective Greg Ferenczi and Detective Kevin Murphy came to the Rushville Police Department to interview an individual by the name of Elvis Fields. They requested to use our interview room. They asked if I could operate the recording equipment for them. I was the head of our criminal investigations unit at the time, so I provided assistance to them. And did that kind of evolve into something more over time? After the interview, they asked me kind of what I thought about the interview. I kind of gave them a brief opinion of what I had seen. They asked me if I was familiar with Elvis Fields, and I told them that I was. So then we went back to my office and discussed Mr. Fields for a brief period of time. Okay, what then did you do? I'm sorry. What was your next kind of involvement in the investigation? I believe it was in August of 2018. Detective Ferenczi called me and said that a lady by the name of Mary Jacobs had made some recordings of a conversation that she had with her sister and asked if I would go and pick up that digital recorder and provide him with the recording. Okay. And then it was about a week or two later, Detective Ferenczi called me and said that Mary Abrams had made another recording with her brother, Elvis Fields. And he asked if I could go get it and get that recording and provide it to him. Okay, so what's your next memory about your involvement in the investigation? Line number 10. Detective Ferenczi asked me if I could try and find some type of link between Elvis Fields and the Delphi area. I searched through the Rushville Police Department's database, trying to see if there might be any correlation between Mr. Fields and Delphi. I originally contacted Detective Ferenczi and told him that I was initially unable to come up with any type of connection between Elvis Fields and Delphi. It was at that time that Detective Ferenczi told me that a subject by the name of Brad Holder and a subject by the name of Patrick Westfall were possible suspects in the homicides. And they, Detective Ferenczi, asked if I would review their Facebook pages to see if I might find anything that might be of a Rushville link. So I did that. What'd you find? I initially did not find anything on Mr. Westfall's Facebook page. Then when I was scrolling through a Facebook page of Brad Holder, I found a photograph of approximately 6 individuals wearing Vinlanders t-shirts. And one of those individuals I immediately recognized as Johnny Messer, and that Johnny Messer was from Rushville. Okay, then what then did that cause you to do, if anything? At that point, I had known from previous dealings that Johnny Messer's uncle was a man by the name of Billy Messer, and that Billy Messer and Elvis Fields briefly lived together for a period of time. And then I relayed that information to Detective Ferenczi. Then what happened? It was at that point that Detective Ferenczi and Detective Murphy decided that they were going to come to Rushville to try and interview Mr. Johnny Messer. Okay, did you find whether or not Elvis and Johnny Messer knew each other? We eventually did through interview and interrogations. Did Johnny say that he knew Elvis and vice versa? Initially, Johnny denied knowing Elvis Fields, but then in subsequent interviews, he did admit that he did know Elvis, and he used to take firewood and beer and cigarettes and some groceries over to their house periodically. So Johnny would bring Billy Messer and Elvis Fields firewood, beer, cigarettes, groceries over there from time to time. Okay. I think where you left off was they wanted to interview Johnny Messer. Who was they? That would have been Detective Murphy and Detective Ferenczi. What happened of significance, if anything, with that interview? They interviewed him. They interviewed him about his involvement with the Vinlander group. He, or I should say Johnny Messer, initially said that he was part of the group, but he was not real big into the Odinism aspect, and that he knew Patrick Westphal fairly well, but he was not real familiar with Brad Holder. Okay, and was Patrick Westphal? Did they ask him whether he helped recruit for the Vinlanders? Was he part of that conversation? Yeah, we did ask him if he had done any type of recruiting for the Vinlander group, and he denied that he was any type of recruiter for the group. Okay, did you investigate whether his claims that he was not a recruiter were accurate? Yes, I did. And what did you find out? Johnny had spoken with several people from Rushville about the Vinlander group, and I found 3 specific individuals that he actively tried to recruit to join the organization. Do you remember their names? Yeah. One was an individual by the name of Brandon Mansfield. One was an individual by the name of David Fields. And one was an individual by the name of Josh Moore. Okay, so is it your belief, based upon what Johnny's answer to you was, that when he said, I'm not a recruiter, based upon finding those people, do you think he was being truthful, or no, he was being dishonest when he said that he was not a recruiter for the Vinlanders? Okay, what happened? Tell me next in the involvement of this investigation. Okay, eventually we conducted an interview with Elvis Fields and Ned Smith. Okay, and what, if anything, did you learn that was of note from those interviews? I specifically asked Mr. Fields about some of the incriminating statements that he had made to his sister. He denied ever making those statements, denied knowing Johnny Messer, denied knowing Brad Holder, and denied knowing Patrick Westphal. Did he ever tell you, he being Elvis, that, quote, I don't know Brad Holder, but I follow him on Facebook? Or, quote, he follows me on Facebook? Was there anything like that? There was no conversation like that was said to me. No. Okay, later on, did you find out that they did have some connection to each other, Elvis and Brad Holder? Detective Ferenczi had conducted an investigation using some Facebook posts that he had compiled between Brad Holder's Facebook page and Elvis Fields' Facebook page. And there were some very similar photos that he had put together as kind of a side-by-side comparison of Mr. Holder and Mr. Fields. Do you think that there was a similarity in those photos? When I initially saw those photos, I was skeptical, but I kind of kept an open mind. As the investigation progressed and kind of totality of information came together, I could see where those Facebook posts that Mr. Holder did and Mr. Fields did were similar in nature and seemed to be linking. Okay, well, what was it about the totality? I mean, what else was going on that would cause you to think, yeah, maybe these guys are looking at each other's posts or mimicking each other's posts? Well, it wasn't so much mimicking each other's posts, but we started finding other individuals that Mr. Fields and Mr. Holder had in common together. And who is that? One of those individuals was named, a gentleman by the name of Josh Chrisman. Sorry, I got a little excited. Josh Chrisman. Mr. Chrisman was originally a member of an organization called Sons of Odin. Sons of Odin. That later transformed into a group called the Patriot Guard. During 2016, there was a Make America Great Again rally that occurred in Indy where the Vinlanders and American Guard got together. They said that they were there providing security because there were supposed to be some Antifa groups that were supposed to be there at the rally. After the rally, the Vinlander group and the American Guard group all went back to a house owned by a gentleman by the name of Mickey McGinley. Mickey McGinley. Mickey McGinley. And then that's where Mr. Chrisman, Mr. Holder, Mr. Westfall, Johnny Messer, they all kind of partied together that evening. What about the pig roast? Did you know that Chrisman delivered pigs and that Elvis Fields assisted him in that? You said Chrisman was also connected not just to Brad Holder, but also to Elvis Fields. That's correct. What's that connection? Okay, so Elvis would do some side work. He worked at a hog barn in Rushville that was owned by Flynn Livestock. Some of the semi-truck drivers would pay Mr. Fields $20 to load and unload their semis for them. Mr. Mr. Josh Chrisman was a semi-truck driver for the Flynns who would transport livestock from the hog barn to different areas in the state. Can you say pig roast? Can you say pig roast?
Bruh.
And how did Elvis get connected with that, or why do you think that? Well, through interviews with people that worked at the hog barn, and also an interview later with Johnny Messer, we learned that Elvis would specifically load and unload hogs for Mr. Josh Chrisman and would sometimes go on deliveries with him, delivering the hogs. And where did these deliveries go? Some of these deliveries were to Whiteman Pig Farm in Indiana. Packers. Sorry, got stuck. Packers.
Bruh.
To Whiteman Pig Farm in Indiana. Packers here in Delphi. And then another location was the Tyson plant in Logansport. The Tyson plant in Logansport. I mean, I hope everyone's paying attention tonight. And so what did all of that investigative work, was that all your work? Yes. And what did all of that investigative work tell you about the connections between Elvis Fields and Brad Holder? Well, there was a common denominator between the two of them, and that was Mr. Josh Chrisman. And but also Johnny Messer. He was also a common denominator, right? Yes, that is correct. Okay, and how would it be that based on your investigation, Elvis would get up to Delphi if he did? Well, I had learned through an interview with another person that worked at the hog barn. He told me that Elvis would sometimes go on these deliveries to Delphi with Mr. Chrisman and another semi-driver by the name of Douglas Ed Hunt. Through the course of my investigation, also, that individual also said that Mr. Chrisman had a girlfriend that lived in the Delphi, Lafayette area. And that every time he would make a delivery up this way, he would meet with his girlfriend and he would meet with his friends that were in this area. I found that on February 13th, 2017, Mr. Chrisman took a load of hogs from the Whiteman Pig Farm in Delphi to a slaughterhouse up in Michigan, called Abbey Land. That's right, Abbey Land. That's right, Abbey Land. Will you guys never get it? Never get it? And that delivery left on February 13th, 2017. However, he did not make that delivery to Abbey Land until February 14th, 2017. Sorry. I get upset. I'm very upset. I'm very fucking emotionally traumatized by years of harassment and abuse from these people. Law enforcement condoning it. And all of this. It's too much. Okay, if it was admitted into evidence earlier, just before you got on, Elvis Fields admitting that he had been following, or his story was that he was mimicking Brad Holder, was mimicking Elvis' Facebook page. And I know this is after it's a fact, but how would that information impact any thoughts that you had on the investigation? The only impact it had on me was that it suggested that, or it was connected between the two, that Elvis Fields and Brad Holder and Josh Chrisman all know each other. Okay, just give me a second. At some point in time, you learned that Richard Allen had been arrested. Is that correct? Yes. What, if anything, did that cause you to do? Initially, when I heard of the arrest, I was kind of shocked and confused. I'm going to object, freaking out. McClellan's freaking out. You know what that means? He's freaking out. Every time he freaks out, you get the highlighter out and you highlight. How is this relevant? How is this relevant? Well, apparently we're not playing nice here. But what goes on here is you're going to find out. You're going to find out Mr. Click sends a letter to the prosecution who doesn't turn it over to us for 90 days. And I think this relevant to, us not getting information goes towards third-party suspect. That's right. So the letter from Todd Click, who's raising these alarm bells to McClellan, doesn't get to the defense until they ask for it 90 days later. Hey, does that sound familiar? How many of you actually paid any fucking attention whatsoever to Reese Davis's whole conundrum with sending letters about Ron Logan and Kagan Klein confessing to having involvement in this murder in some way? All the letters, the 3 letters that Reese Dave, I'm so upset, I'm stuttering. The 3 letters that Reese Davis sent, and within those letters were other letters. So he claims it's 6, 7 letters that he sends to McClellan, right? So he sends to McClellan. Once again, McClellan totally ignores it. Understand? When asked to produce him, he only produces 2 of the letters. No, sure, but we don't have a cover-up in Delphi. Sorry, I'm almost through it, and I'm sorry for yelling. I yell when I want to fucking reach through that computer and grab someone and shake them. As a matter of fact, you know what? I think that okay, let me. Mr. Click, when you interviewed Taylor Hornady, isn't it true she said just up there, not up there in Delphi? No, I'm sorry. Wrong one. Okay, here we go. Was this something out of sequence here? Oh, here we go. Did you ever interview Taylor Hornady? Yes, I did. Was there any significance about her testimony or her statement related to this crime? I guess, could you be more specific? Yeah, it's a terrible question. I'll move on. What was the substance of the interview related to Johnny Messer, his involvement in Delphi, if any? It was mainly our testimony through the interview with Taylor Hornady, we were basically able to learn a better timeline of Johnny's involvement with the Vinlander group. And we were able to determine some of the other crimes that Mr. Messer had been involved in. Were you part of an interview where she talked about Johnny being up there in Delphi during February 13th and 14th of 2017? Yeah, Taylor did indicate that she believed Johnny Messer was up in the Delphi area around Valentine's Day of 2017. You know, the day before and after the murder of the girls. And did she talk about the condition of her vehicle when she came back? She said there was some type of red substance that was found on the side of her vehicle that she believed was blood. She originally thought he may have struck a possum or something along those lines. But that was after she had been up visiting Brad Holder and Patrick Westfall in Delphi the weekend that the girls, or the days that the girls were killed. That is correct. Okay. So I'm sorry, guys. I think today I've gone into a yelling spree and my blood pressure feels up, and now I'm having a headache develop. I think that I've just worked myself into a rage, and it's sad because when I say that the entire Delphi community has been traumatized, I truly do mean it. I truly do mean it. At least all of the innocent observers of the Delphi murders aftermath. We've all been traumatized heavily. Uh, Now, the plants haven't. The troll farm hasn't. Those working for law enforcement haven't. Those threatening to kill us on a regular basis, trying to run us off the platform, haven't. But there are plenty of us who've been truly traumatized by this case. Especially when you realize that with all of this mountain of evidence, all of the indicators pointing to some sort of occult nature of this crime and some sort of cartel connection to this crime, it's easy to forget the other immense red flags that exist in this crime. For instance, we have not even brought up tonight the deleted, okay, literally deleted 70 days in the first 6 months of this investigation, including the entire first week of interviews, interrogations. We have not even mentioned yet the missing and untested fingerprints and DNA and footprints. We have not mentioned the multitude of confessions. We've barely touched upon or scratched the surface of the obviously falsified digital evidence, the faked digital evidence, like this. We've not discussed much about how this was not even questioned. How this type of tableau is allowed to be chalked up to random chance. The random throwing of sticks onto bodies to cover the bodies. By a sex-crazed lone wolf killer, bridge guy Richard Allen, where there were hundreds of thousands of leaves nearby that could have easily been thrown on these bodies to cover the bodies. Oh, and you had a forest that was completely devoid of leaves. And you had a forest floor that was completely brown. And you had bodies that were literally pasty white. Bloodless. You had something mimicking this, a sacrifice. That's right. Not a single defensive wound whatsoever. But you've got yet another documentary giving you the same old bullshit narrative that's been spun since day one. And no one questions it. People go consume like the consumers they are. Oh, there's a documentary. Oh, I gotta go watch the Hulu special. Oh, isn't it nice? I think they treated the defense fairly. Yeah. Did the defense treat the victims fairly? We haven't even discussed yet the pervasive nature of the 213 signature at the crime scene and by multiple individuals who have been suspected of having involvement in both the murders and the cover up. 213, 312, 1113. We've not even really done much more than allude to the fact that the family has been completely inconsistent since day one, including what time you dropped them off, what they were wearing, what they were doing the day before, who was doing this, who was doing that, what they ate, where they went, who called who, why you didn't pick up the phone, why'd you wash the nothing. Barely alluded to the questionable behavior of the family. I haven't even mentioned yet the calling off of the search at midnight. Something I know that the parents of those two girls, and by that I mean the biological mothers, they know in no fucking world would you call off the search for those girls. And especially with them laying right there, a stone's throw away from where you figured they last were. But no, you see, no. Look at this. We're not going to question. What are we not going to? We're not going to question anything from the crime scene. We're not going to question anything from the search warrant. We're not going to question anything from the cell tower at all. or the cell phone at all, or the firearm at all, or the extractions of any of the phones of Derek or Liberty. And of course, we're not going to question that Harvest Store video, whatever the hell that is. And we've barely mentioned the elephant in the room, and that is the pervasive, overarching PR campaign narrative controllers hovering over this case since day one. Remember, in the early years, in the first handful of years, it was all locals who steered the narrative on this case. And then a PR firm was hired. And then more and more outsiders started coming on. Before you know it, I'd say 2/3 easily of the Delphi creators working for the wrong reasons. And now we've come full circle. Ouroboros. It was our job to help law enforcement, and we threatened to kill other YouTubers. We threatened to kill Richard Allen. We put a hit out on Richard Allen, and Becky Patty said, "Hey, I don't want him dead just yet. I want him to suffer a little first." It was our job to help law enforcement, and oh, but that was what the police told us they wanted to do. And remember the backlash I got. Okay, remember the fucking backlash I got when I said that this thing right here, something was wrong with it. Remember the backlash I got when I said something is wrong with this. I literally had 50 people gang stalking me for 3 fucking months because I said something is wrong with this. I mean, let me ask you this. Do you see Liberty in this video? Do you see Liberty in this video? Have we forgotten about the whisper? Who's whispering in the video? Go listen to my audio breakdowns. Let's see. So whoever it is holding the camera has baggy sweatpants on, flapping in the wind. There's someone whispering while Abby's talking, if it's Abby. Oh, another thing. And you had footage like this of this monster on the Monon. You know, you had footage like this of this bridge guy. You had footage of this clarity of this bridge guy. And what the fuck did you give to us? What did we have for years? You had footage of this clarity. I mean, look how crisp. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can find something here. Let's see. Like for real. It's not even worth it. So I don't know what else to say. I think I've proven my point with this Maku series, capturing the killer. No, listen, that was the fantasy that was told to sell this as a piece of evidence. Capturing the killer. Well, question: what's the proof that that figure in that video had anything to do with the murders of those two girls? What's the proof? What's the proof that those girls and that figure went across the water as he chased them in a blind rage? What's the proof that that guy single-handedly murdered those two girls and then got away without leaving any evidence, without being seen on the Harvest Store camera? What's the proof? But the thesis here is that we know Bridge Guy killed the girls, and we know that Richard Allen is Bridge Guy. Therefore, Richard Allen killed the girls. Really? You can tell people who have not done a bunch of logical deduction, reasoning, logic, and mathematics, because one thing that doesn't work, if the math ain't mathing, you're not working it right. Okay, because this math don't math. You have no evidence that this figure did anything to the girls, much less chased them across a raging creek and killed them and escaped just in the nick of time and not leaving a single defensive wound on either girl. And for some reason got both girls naked, but some reason got the other girl to redress, and for some reason put witchcrafty fucking stick figurations on the top of those bodies like this, mimicking a sacrifice, and drew this on the tree in the victim's blood. Even Kevin Murphy said they always thought it was 2 to 3 to 5 or 6. In other words, a handful of individuals had to have done this. I mean, trust me, if you got 2 or 3, yeah, then someone can be holding the one victim while the perpetrator uses the knife. Therefore, no defensive wounds. Nothing connects Richard Allen to these murders other than himself saying he was there earlier in the day, much earlier in the day. That's the only thing. The bullet, do I need to even explain to you that it's junk science? I mean, there's no. Remember this. Initially, they were looking for a SIG or a Smith & Wesson 40 caliber. Well, hey, if that science is so good, why was it a SIG or a Smith & Wesson? You would think that it'd be pretty fucking clear it's either a Sig or a Smith and Wesson. The bullet's junk science. Miss me with it. Oh, but Prof, he confessed. Yeah, confessed. Let's see. Let's see if I take you against Geneva Conventions and put you in solitary confinement for about a year or two of your life while medicating you with antipsychotics and giving you sedatives and who knows what else on top of that. You're starving yourself. You're banging your head against an iron door and the brick walls. And then you're being forcibly injected with Haldol. On top of that, disregarding your body weight. We know he's been threatened with the death of himself and his family from the other inmates and from his own mouth. That's right. He was saying things like, is my wife alive? Is my wife okay? Is my family alive? So yeah, I think it'd be kind of possible that someone might get into a delusionary state, especially if you got a couple 300-pound jack dudes standing over you with Odin patches and tattoos on their face saying, you better fucking call your wife and confess right now or your daughters are dead. Your daughter's dead. Or anything like that. But that's what it took. Okay, that's what it took. It took a lying ass family, some lying ass YouTubers, some law enforcement shills, about 50 people on the internet working for this cause, a whole bunch of cops looking the other way, and a whole bunch of cops in particular positions strategically placed to make the calls and make shit disappear. And it cost the deaths of a handful of individuals, including Greg Ferenczi, Stephanie Thompson, and the ruining of the career of Todd Click. And then there's the Robert Fortson and some other YouTubers involved, all kind of death to silence this shit. But this is what it takes. It took all of this for the murders of two little girls. Since when? Since when is that a thing? Since when is covering up the murders of two little girls worth all of this? Unless it's something else. Unless this opens the door into something so significant, you cannot even conceive it. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is Occam's razor. It's the simplest deduction of the facts surrounding this case anyone will reach. And hopefully, the second half of the show has provided a little balance or counterbalance to that piece of state propaganda which you have just been subjected to, called the Hulu docuseries Delphi, capturing their killer, the girls on the high bridge. Anyway, I want to thank all my supporters tonight. I see there's been some people sending in memberships and super chats. I want to thank you guys, including Rebecca Ann, Oleg Cat, Miss K, Queen of Swords, Jake Brooks, Christine. Hey, Christine. Melissa Bex. Welcome, Miss Melissa. Miss K. And all of you just been wonderful. Also, those of you who hit the thumbs up and leave comments down below, which is my favorite. Truly appreciate it. Did we reach our oh, we're 5 away with 30 seconds to go. So no, unfortunately, no fireworks. But there's been plenty of fireworks on this screen tonight. I hope that you've paid attention to the things that I chose to highlight in response to this this really egregious insult to logic and intelligence that they tried to present in this documentary. Listen, basically all it was. Yes, that's thank you, Snarky. That's true. Basically, all it was is a tripling down on the state's narrative of the Delphi murders. And that's what you got served via Hulu and via all the troll farm who participated in the production of this. Remember, the troll farm thought when they were doing this, they thought that they were doing something grand. Okay, which it is. It's the most polished presentation of their gaslighting from the past 8 years that you've seen so far. So yeah, they have accomplished something, which is a highly polished product, giving their narrative, their fairy tale theory about this crime. But it's heartbreaking, honestly. It's I just got no words because the amount of time we've invested in this, the amount of abuse we've taken, man, it just makes life horrible. And all of my friends in this case who I speak to, everyone's upset. Okay, I got to talk to people who cry at the drop of a dime, who rage out as their heads explode in anger over this gaslighting. But it's total bullshit, guys. And you know it. And anyone telling you it's not, and anyone giving it any sort of credibility is really a foul human being. It's a foul human being that tries to I don't know, try to lend that any credibility. It's a piece of shit. Okay, like I said, the one redeeming quality in the entire thing is the brief segment in which you all can get a small glimpse into the person that Kathy Allen is. So I guess there's that. But I'd encourage you all, don't go and give Hulu the advertisement dollars for this. Don't give them the clicks and the views, the viewing hours. I truly never ask you to go watch anything, to not watch anything. Even with the troll farm, I don't say go watch. I don't send you to not watch them. Just like the Mean Girls, I don't say go watch their bullshit live streams. But literally on this one, don't go watch it. You're only encouraging it more. But if you happen to see it, keep in mind, okay, if you happen to see it, keep in mind that you should be looking for what it is, because every time they tell you what it is, like it's just like McClellan, every time he objects wildly, you know there's something there. Every time you see the Mean Girls on the troll farm try to absolute destroy my reputation with smearing, with gaslighting, with harassing, with striking the channel, every time they go berserk, you know there's something there. So if you happen to go watch it, take it in that you should learn what they're trying to get across. And for me, they're trying to get across the Gray Hughes narrative and nothing more, nothing less. They're trying to say, hey, this is how this happened. Trust us. And we're documentary. We're serious. It's pretty, there's pretty cinematography happening. There's heartfelt, emotional statements being given. Trust us. This is how it happened. And I'm sitting here like, really? Were the girls even there on the 13th of February? Really? Were they? I mean, were they there in the early AM, like midnight, 1, 2, 3 a.m.? Is that when they were there? Were they killed before daylight even broke on the 13th? Maybe they were there on the 13th. I just don't know if they were there at 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. or 3 p.m. on the 13th. I don't buy it. I don't buy that they were on the bridge. I don't buy that the fucking video, the photographs, the Snapchats, any of it is even legitimate. And for these opinions, yeah, the stones have come. So I'll double down on my statement. Yeah, I believe they were at Wilson Bridge. I believe they got killed out there in a meth involved situation near a shack. I believe they were kept over there until they were moved overnight and planted to be found on the 14th. I think there was a pig roast or a party in the cemetery, whatever the hell you want to call it. And I think it ran from the cemetery all the way down the Mears Bottoms out there to Wilson Bridge. And I think that the fact that you can't talk about Cody, Derek, or the shack I don't know, pretty alarming. Or the family, or the Dropbox. What's up, Chevy Killer? What's up, Sunflower Soul? What's up, Who's Her Daddy? Christina. Hey, another thing I got to say before I end it. And this is for the really astute observer. Now, you guys know what kind of voice I've been in Delphi. I mean, like I said, I took down more than 400 live streams, 3 hours each, to 4, and 100 videos. With all that I've said over the course of 3 years of doing this, I found it really odd that they would choose to go in and clip me saying something that's highly out of context. Let me see if I can quote it for you, because honestly, got to find the little quotation because I don't have the. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, so they clip me saying, I cannot declare that Richard Allen is totally innocent. Why would they do that? Think about it. Why would they choose, out of the million words that I've spoken in the past 3 years on this topic, why would they choose to find the one moment that I said, I cannot declare that Richard Allen is totally innocent? Doesn't seem in good faith, does it? Is that representative? In other words, if you were to say, what's a representative phrase from the prof regarding Delphi, wouldn't it be something like, why can we not question the family and say, and why can we not mention Derek, Cody, or the Shack? Why not go with something along those lines? Or why not go with something along the lines of this is fake, this is photoshopped? No, no. But they're going to go in and find me saying, I cannot declare that Richard Allen is totally innocent of this crime. So, you know, there's a lesson to be taken from that. Anyhow, thank you. Thank you for noticing. I'll leave you with this. It was our job to help law enforcement. That's what the police told us they wanted to do, us to do. Anyway, God bless you all. Thank you very much for being here. Okay. Special shout out again to Miss Kay for the amazing little super chats, and Miss Christine, Melissa, Jake Brooks, Queen of Swords, Oleg Cat, and Rebecca Ann. And a special shout out to all my friends out there. You know who you are. Also, I want to thank you for being here. Who's your daddy? Oh, hey, Christina, Pertinent, Melissa, I have Apophis, Aaron Town, Miss K, Ghost in the Machine, Rhonda Holton, Who's Your Daddy? Paula, Heather Brown, Sweet Dude Shibby, Goose's Gammy, Melissa Beck, Chevy Killer, Sunflower Soul, Pertinent, Critter Mama, Lisa, Fur Baby Daddy, um, Trial Junkie, Goose's Gammy, Teresa, Dr. Corbeau, Stephen, um, Granny D, all right, Miss Pie Crust, Sweet Dushibi, I said hi already. Let's see. Swade Smith, all right, and everyone else, Jake Brooks, Christine, I have Apophis. There you go. Scott LaFleur, everyone who was here super, super, super duper early. Adrian was here. Thank you, Adrian, for being here. Um, anyway, Tammy Martin, thank you for being here. Snarky Ass Angel, what's up? Big Fish, Small Pond, hi to you. Big JD was here. Just all my favorites were here, okay? You know you're my favorite if you're here. Gretchen, hey, Gretchen. Gretchen's here. Everyone who's here, truly appreciate you. And if you're on the replay, please follow the Cash App link. Send me a Cash App. Send me a Buy Me a Coffee. Go subscribe. I have a Substack. Maybe one of my super people in the chat will leave a Substack. I miss Amy tonight. Amy's not here. Normally, Amy, my main mod, will post the Substack. But the Substack is called readtheprof.substack.com. Please go read my Substack. There's very important information there for you. Also, read the community pages. And if you're on the replay, leave comments down below. I truly appreciate all the comments. I really, 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 really do. It keeps the conversation going on into the future. Anyhow, look for something tomorrow. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I'm working on doing something. So see you all later. Thanks, everybody. I see you in the chat. Okay, Chevy. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Stephen. That's a nice comment there. Thank you very much. Okay. Appreciate you. Appreciate you all. Okay, have a great night. All right. So I'm out of here. Hide your kids, hide your wife. I'm going to let our good man take us out with that. And until then, see you guys later.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here.
Bruh.
Well, obviously, we have a rapist in Lincoln Park. He's climbing in your windows. He's snatching your people up, trying to rape them. So y'all need to hide your kids, hide your wife, and hide your husband because they're raping everybody out here.